that's pashut, that anything that has no usage, it was not oimid for usage. It's not that it wasn't nisyached, it wasn't made into a kli. Either it's dirt, it's shells, it could be sand, it could be anything that wasn't oimid for usage. Hagam, that now on Shabbos we have a wonderful usage for it. So B'kai Govna, that becomes a muksa machmas gufay. That's a muksa machmas gufay. That's what we spoke about yesterday. Yesterday, we gave various examples of what was muksa machmas gufay. So even something gewaldige chedushim like flour. Flour could be a muksa machmas gufay, even though flour is something that Chazal say consider it to be edible. It's so edible that you could even make a bracha on it. You make a shackle. It's not oimid to be eaten. Normal people don't eat flour. We saw lulav is probably for sure a muksa machmas gufay. We explained the chiluk between that and a shayfer. Or Moshe told us medicine that's not oimid for usage. She's going to be muksa. Avada, if you have medicine, the person's sick, so that there could be a teirim. And avada, if the medicine was oimid before Shabbos, so then that would also not be muksa. But the basic idea that we were getting was that's one type when it's a non-kli. When it's a non-kli, which has no usage, is not going to be considered oimid for usage on Shabbos. A medicine is a non-kli, and flour is a non-kli, and it's not oimid for usage. Non-kli, which is not oimid for usage. Dirt is a non-kli, which wasn't oimid for usage. Stone pebbles, shells are non-kalim, which are not oimid. Peels, they're non-kalim, which are not oimid for usage. Certain types of we'll see soon. We'll have to talk about what the heter is with diapers and everything, right? But the kids are all these things which are non-kalim, which are not oimid for usage. The avlakulam was the avatuma was a mace. A mace is something which is obviously not oimid for usage. It's obviously non-kli. It was not obviously meyuchad for anything, and therefore it's going to be muksa. A dead mouse that we had in the koilel once. Right? So that would be, again, there might be a teirim. There might be a heter of a graf shel rei. But that's the get of muksa machmas guf. Muksa machmas guf, you can't move not the tzar gufa, not the tzar mekoyim. It's the most evil time to muksa. The only thing are there, all the exceptions that we're going to talk about, like tzaltam natzad and shinoi and v'chule. Then we got to a second type. This is a different way of getting into the parsha of a muksa machmas gufay. The second way to get into the muksa machmas gufay would be if you're something which now already you were fashioned a little bit, but you didn't quite get there yet. It was le nigmer the kli. The kli wasn't nigmer yet. It's on the assembly line. The person has the Gemara's examples. He has a machat that he didn't put the eye in the needle. So such a thing that would have potentially have been a muksa machmas gufay. Because here, it's already a kli, but it's an unfinished kli. Unfinished kli, that already is not considered oimid for usage. So here already the plot thickens a little bit. It's an unfinished kli, and it's already not oimid for usage. That's already, that's the chiddush. An unfinished kli, which isn't oimid for usage, is also going to be a muksa machmas gufa. However, that we saw the big chiddush in the Rebbe and the Mishabura. If you have an unfinished kli, which sometimes people, listen closely, because I want to answer up a lot of the questions that were asked yesterday with this one sentence. Sometimes you have an unfinished kli, but some people consider it to be finished, and they lichatchila will consider it to be finished. What do I mean? Yeah, like the case of the Gemara. The case is a needle. A needle is something that most people wait till it's got the eye in it to be considered a Gemara kli. However, at the shlav of where it doesn't have an eye, there are zimnin, not it's roy for usage. But there are zimnin that people will lichatchila, not the diavad, lichatchila, they'll say, you know what, this is already considered a shlava gemara. In other words, to explain, it's we're trying to figure out what's considered the end product. So the end product of that's what we know already. The end product is at the point of where it would have the eye in it. But since there's already times that people, that doesn't have to be many times, I don't know the numbers, it can't be weird misnumber, but it's zimnin. Sometimes a person would decide to use the needle in its matzah right now. There are people that use needles without eyes in them. And therefore, at this shlav right now, that could be considered a shlav ha-gemar. That was the lumdus of everything we spoke about yesterday. That could be considered a shlav of gemar, because since at that shlav, the shlav of where there's no eye in it, but people might decide to use it right now, so that's also considered a keli. That's also considered a keli. That's the Hagam. He didn't decide yet. But that also would be considered a kli when it comes to muksa. Yesterday it sounded like some abstract weird case, and then yesterday we saw that that's really mamish the biggest need in all of these rolls, whether it's toilet paper, whether it's silver foil, whether it's plastic, whether it's maybe saran wrap, whether it's all the different things, the kitchen paper towels, right, the bounties, and all these achin. The idea of these things is that l'maisa. It's something that, this is where the oilam was nischadish to the oilam. The fact that the company considers it done That doesn't mean that at that point it's considered a Gemar Kli. The company says that it would be more convenient for you, right? Or cheaper at least, it's more kedai for you. For example, they sell separate sheets of silver foil. They're already cut silver, and they sell separate pieces of toilet paper, and they sell separate pieces they don't sell separate pieces of cling film, but they sell separate pieces of even kitchen paper towels. And these things, they sell them already cut. They do the job for you. They also sell the 10 pieces of bread for chametz. They sell a lot of things today to make life easy, right? But what's the lumdus? The lumdus is they agree it's not yet a finished product. It's not considered a finished product. It's only a finished product when you have in front of you a piece of paper, when you have in front of you a piece of toilet paper, when you have in front of you a piece of silver foil. That's the finished product. But they consider it that you're the one that'll finish making that product. For example, there's no shayla in the world that a person that cuts it, he's either over on Korea or makapatesh or both or neither or something or either, but he's certainly over on a finishing of a kli. It just could be that we call it a kareya, so we might not call it makav patish. But there's no question that he is finishing the making of this keli. There's no question he's finishing the making of this keli, and therefore that's going to be considered listen closely. That's going to be considered that until the point of where he cuts it, and this is what the Yasha felt, until the point of where he cuts the paper, so that will not be considered a gemar kli. Because it's not zimnin de mimlach. Nobody uses this as a gemar kli in this fashion. Again, yesterday though, they were saying that sometimes he could unravel first the toilet paper and then he could cut it afterward. But everyone understands that that's not the etzim hakeli. The etzim hakeli is the paper that I'm going to use to clean up this spill, to clean up this mess, to clean up, to cover the table with the plastic. And therefore, what they did for you is they kept it all together. And you have to do the dirty work of cutting it. But therefore, that's considered that it's still on the assembly line. The fact that they took it off the assembly line and you buy it in that fashion is just simply that it's easier and more compact and easier to get. It's probably also cheaper, et cetera, et cetera. So therefore, that's why it's considered l'chayra, a muksa machmas gufa. It sounded like a weird case, and that would be called the muksa machmas gufa, l'chayra. That's that. I understood the Olam's tiny. I want to just explain one nakuda is that all the things that the Olam was talking about, that sometimes they'll undo the toilet paper and undo the towel, the paper towels, and all these things, etc. Right? Or like we saw that the Orach Shabbos said, sometimes the person will be in a bind, they'll be stuck, and he'll actually use it like that on Shabbos. He's going to use it like that if he's stuck, right? But the lumdus over here is something else. The lumdus is like the Mishnah Berurah says, Zimnin, we're trying to figure out, did it get a Gemar Shem Kli? That's what we're trying to figure out. Gemar Shem Kli is not, if I have no choice, I would do this. No, there are sometimes, lichatchila, I say that I want this needle in the matziv without the eye, as a lichatchila. That's a different story. I might use anything for anything when I'm in a bind. But when there are sometimes I lichatchila decide that, you know what, I don't want the eye in the needle. I want the needle in this matziv right now. That means that there are sometimes it's considered done. So that's called the gemar of the shem kli. Machenkin, by the cases of the toilet paper, let's say, for example, what the Orach Shabbos said. He says sometimes the person will be stuck in the bathroom on Shabbos, and he's going to have no choice. He's going to have to use the paper when it's still attached. That's true. He will use it. I mean, he'll have a heter mitzad muksa, covered up riyas or whatever. That's true. He would do such a thing. He would use it in such a fashion. But that's not going to be konveya that it gets a shem kli, because no one does such a thing with chatchil. And in order to get the shem kli, it has to be something that he considered. This is called the gemar. How could you call something a gemar? The only way you can call something a gemar is if some people say, okay, there's the shlava gemar where it's totally finished. Then there's a shlava koidim. Are there people that at this shlav also consider it to be finished? If the answer is yes, so then it's called a kli. No one considers toilet paper a finished product, the fact that he might have no choice but to use it. That's called he used an unfinished kli. And that explains, I hope, a lot of what was a little bit of the bewilderment yesterday. But now, because Bez Hashem, the router, hopefully there won't be any more confusion. That's l'chayra. And then I did see that Reb Nissen, he does say that it's a klish malachtoi le'isser by toilet paper. What he says is together manoimer, manadaber, manitzadik, nach b'sidrocheinu v'nachkayra. I don't understand what he says. What he says is against the Mishnah Berurah explicitly. He says that since theoretically you could use, he doesn't say like the Orach Shabbos. He doesn't say you would use it in a bind. He says since theoretically it could be used like this, agam you don't. That he agrees that it's nobody etzim does that. But he says since theoretically it can be used like that, hagam you don't, then that's called the kli already. That is tamua ma'oid, and that's the first neged the Gemara came out. I don't have any hesber in this. It's the Mishnah Berurah says first not like that. Mishnah Berurah says explicitly, not that he could theoretically use it, but Zimnini actually does use it in the Shlava Gemara. and therefore it's archein. It's archein, and I guess it's whatever it's archein. It's I guess begeder luchal pachas asafik ein might see me the vadayis of Rabbi Yashiv, which is the pashup shad mishabura, and therefore toilet paper is muksa on Shabbos. The plastic rolls. So I talked last night to the Bachrim, and that was a story. It seems to be that there are some yeshivas, they buy it like that, and they use it on the table like that. And then after like a 3-hour meal, the guy will come and he'll cut it and throw it all into the garbage or whatever. If there's such a mitzias, I don't think that's a mitzias in a normal house, right? But if that would be the mitzias by you, it could be. Then when you buy the plastic rolls, so then, now you have to don. Do I look now in the klal of people, or do I look in the person himself? In other words, in the klal of people, if there's enough people out there that actually use plastic tablecloths while they're attached, which I don't know if the world of Bachrim has been conveyed. I love the entire Bachrim; it's very dear to me, Bachrim. I don't know if the mitzias of Bachrim. I don't know. I don't know. It still sounds to me a little bit weird, but at least in Lumdis there would be what the Dan. I would have heard such a thing that maybe therefore it's called a gemar, and therefore it'll be a gemar for me also. Because it doesn't matter that I'm doing it here. We're not discussing you personally. We're trying to figure out, does it have a shame of a gemar of a keli? That's adkan, that part of the sugya. Okay. Now, over here, before I get into the big sugya today, which is it's Hashem. But there's one last thing over here, which is paper. We keep coming back to paper. I must tell you, there's a Balatanya, which is very famous. Balatanya. Sorry. There's a Balatanya, the Graz, where he talks about paper in Tivkat and Vav. We mentioned one part of this Balatanya when we mentioned Chesron Kiss. Balatanya says paper is Chesron Kiss. Okay, we discussed that today. Our paper, at least a lot of our paper, won't be Chesron Kiss because we would use it for other things. That's that's in one nidin. We'll put that nidin on the side. There's another nidin. Is the Balatanya writes the words. He writes after the words. First of all, paper is Chesron Kiss. Then he says, V'oid, kevan shemakbit olav loy l'shtamish, since you're makbit not to use paper, ein olav toiris kli klal. What do those words mean? Since he starts, you could have made a mistake and said he's saying Chesron Kiss. No, he starts out, he says, first of all, paper is Chesron Kiss. Then afterward, he says, V'oid, kevan shemakbit olav loy l'shtamish, since you makbit not to use the paper. I suppose he means, you don't want something to happen to this paper because the paper gets wet or it gets ruined and whatever. So you're never going to use it to cover. In those days, everything in the Gemara was always about covering kalim or whatever. But you're never going to use this piece of paper to cover your pitcher, to cover your food, because you're afraid of the oil, you're afraid of the grease, you're afraid it's going to get ruined. So because of that, ain't a love toiris kli klal. Anybody want to try? Anyone want to try? What? So I have a little tzad like you, but so I saw like this. What? He said the word makbid. I have a tzad like, I'll tell you how the Ksaisa Shulchan learned this. The concept of the Ksaisa Shulchan is a very interesting concept, benkach. Okay, so no matter what, we have to discuss it. Ksaisa Shulchan says, what is paper? What's paper? I mentioned this already, but this is the makam. What is paper? What's paper? So maybe paper is an unfinished kli. Maybe paper is an unfinished kli. We have to go into this. Let's understand this. Let's delve into this. We're going to talk soon about a button. It seems to be the button, the big sugya of buttons, a button that falls off. And what's the din of a button that falls off on Shabbos? It's a very big sugya. Mitzvah Hashem, we have to see. It could be because it was once attached and whatnot. It's considered, but it seems to be from the poskim that a button that was not attached, a button that was not attached. Where's the Negeya? They have a spare button, that comes in the jacket. It seems to be the poskim take on. Rabbi said, how would you learn a button after hearing what you heard yesterday in this room from the Shabura? You say a button is a muktzah machmas gufa, right? It's an unfinished product. What do I mean? It's an unfinished product. It itself obviously is finished, right? But there's no usage of a button. The whole usage of a button is to attach her to something and then use it when it's attached to something. So it's part of the assembly line. I don't know. They made the button after they finished making the button. Now you have to do something to it, and then afterward it gets its usage. And we're going to see that it might be quite accurate that a button, it's definitely taken on that a button is probably going to be muktzah. Now there's a whole nidin about a button that was attached and fell off. It could be that it once got a shame kliyas. Don't get confused if you're going to hear other diburim about a button. But l'chayr, a simple button that was never attached, it's a reserved button. If you find it in your jacket on Shabbat, that's a serious muktzah. That's a muktzah machmas gufa. Why? Because of what you just heard. It's an finished kli. It's a kli that's on the assembly line that hasn't quite gotten there yet. So let's clarify, assuming that's right. What about a nail? We'll come back to paper in a minute. I haven't forgotten. What about a nail? Screw. A nail, a screw. What's the din of a nail or a screw? What's a nail? What's a nail? The nail is the same thing as a button, or is a nail a hammer? Imagine a guy would walk in now. No, you would die from the kedusha. Sorry? No, I'm not concerned now if there's a different usage of a nail. You could use it to scratch your ear or your friend's ear or whatever. I don't care. And that would get into category 2. I don't care. I want to know, is she a kli shemlachta li'isr, or is she an evil muksa? She's on the assembly line. Who says it's on the assembly line? Who says it's not? Why not? Why not? Why would it not be on the assembly line? What? What's the difference between that and a button? A button's muksa. A button, the place can say button's muksa. Oh, so you agree, it's a button. So then it's muksa. Right? Okay, so I'm going to tell you that I'm not at all convinced. I'm not at all convinced. And I'll tell you that in the, I'm not at all convinced. I'll tell you what I think. There's a Shmir Shabbos that discusses his way of saying it in Chav Tez Zayin. I might say it a little bit different, but you know, there is something different about a button. You know, a lamdin would be able to dissect the difference between a button and a nail. The only question is, if that mechilik is mechalik? You know, not every chilik is mechalik, right? But there's a definite chilik between a button and a nail. What's the chilik? No? Have fun with you guys. You're saying it almost, but you're not saying it good. I was going to give good things. You didn't nail it on the button. What? Something happens to the button. Yeah, basically, okay, I'm saying the idea is like this. First, we have to define the chilik. A button is something that it's taka on the assembly line, because I have to have it's one step away from using. It's really 2 steps away, right? In other words, first I have to attach it. The usage of the button is not to attach it to its shirt or to the clothing. That's not the usage. A button is something that will be used after it's attached, right? It's twice removed, right? In other words, I'm going to attach the button. After I attach the button, then I'm going to be able to use the button by closing the shirt or by doing whatever I do with the button. Okay, you can get involved, dress button. Again, we're not learning buttons now. We're just conceptually right now. It could be a dress button, might be different, and it could be fine. A shirt button, or the jacket button, the spare one that they give you, the pants one, or whatever. So those ones that are going to be used, you know, they don't give you a spare one. I think they give you only spares for the things that, I don't know if they give you spares for these, maybe I'm wrong. But the spare button, she's muksa, that we'll see in Mr. Shem, the Paiskim seem to say. And I can tell you why, because she's on the assembly line. Why is she on the assembly line? Because first you have to attach her. After you attach her to the shirt, then it's used. In other words, it's twice removed. A nail's not like that. A nail, you take this nail, the nail is going to be holding together the 2 pieces of wood. You know, the screw is going to be holding together something, right? So the nail, once I put it in, or once I bang it in, then it's going to be doing something immediately upon putting it in. So maybe that's already a kli. In other words, a kli is something that can it do its job. What's the job of a nail? The job of the nail is to hold 2 things together, let's say. Now, I know, I'm really not here to talk yet about nails and buttons, because the bigger sugya is coming, right? So there could be, with the watch, you probably have to clock. There's bigger things coming, right? But I just want you to conceptually understand these types of chilukim, because this is really going to open up the door to a lot of what goes on now. I'm using this as a mashal. I'm using a mashal that you can all understand. It's not muchach that just to give you a little bit of the secret. The Shmir Shabbos says, and I got to think he's right, I'm just explaining it a little bit. A nail is a kli shemlachta li'isr. He says a nail is not biva moksa. A nail you can move. Okay, it gets into, you know, category 2, and what could you do with a nail? Truth is, I'm not even convinced. I'm sure there's a lot you could do with a nail, right? And you have to, you know, scrape something like that. I'm sure there's a lot of things you could potentially do with a nail. But who cares? In our world, category 2 is kli shemlachta li'isr anyways. So therefore, she's a kli shemlachta li'isr. And therefore, you can move her. A button, which was not attached to the jacket or whatever, but a button, she's taka considered a muksa machmas gufa. Now you understand there's a potential chiluk. A button is tvei remove. He's removed twice. First you have to attach. After you attach, then you can use him. A nail is something that it's in the matzav right now. What it's, you know, now it could be mechaber. It could hold 2 things together. You just got to give him a little chizik, right? You give him a little chizik, and then he's going to hold the 2 things together. But that's his function. His function is to hold 2 things together. In the matzav he's in right now, can he hold 2 things together? Yes. He just needs chizik. You just need somebody to do it, to push him into it sometimes. I'm all after Bissel Chisik. Yeah. Sorry? No, because the button first has one job that it has to get onto the shirt. Once it's on the shirt, it didn't do its job yet. It could be a dress button, like you're asking. Lots can change. You know me. I'm very open dude. But this is just to understand chilukim of, let's say, all buttons were created equal, right? Then at least mitzad Chazal didn't maybe have dress buttons. So for sure, mitzad Chazal, when they looked at a button, it was going to be a muktzah machmas gufa because of what we just said. But a nail, very possibly, could be a klish machzor. Yes, sir. What? Right. That's what. Yeah. It could be. But. And it could be that we have to, our buttons have the buttons today become like nails, if the nails become like buttons. It's true. It could be saying, what do you mean? You take a nail, you bang it into the wall, and then after you bang it into the wall, now you hang something on it. So it didn't do its function yet, right? Okay, it's definitely a possibility, and then it could be okay. Once I have that a nail could do what I just said, maybe that's enough. And by button, we'll have to see if we reckon with dress buttons, if that's considered something we reckon with. So it could be once a nail could do what I said, that's also enough anyways. Okay, what's enough, Kanina? I'm just showing you the lumdus of how to dissect items. Are they finished? Are they not finished? Where they are in the assembly line. Now come back to paper. What's paper? So the Ksaisa Shulchan, with this Agdama, you can understand a little bit what he's saying. Comes again the Ksaisa Shulchan. He's, always with the Graz. He was a Lubavitcher Rebbe, not the Lubavitcher Rebbe, he was a Lubavitcher Rebbe, right? And he was, always with the Graz. Him, the Tila, the David, they're always trying to find for the Balatanya. That's what they're always trying to do. So there, he says that paper, I'll tell you Pshat in the Graz. Pshat in the Graz is that it's not a kli. You know why? Because paper is on the assembly line. It's not a finished product. Because why? Because paper is not something that it itself you use it for something. I mean, it sounds funny, right? But you don't do something with the paper, right? You do something to the paper. So it means it's like on canvas you could appreciate it more. Canvas is something that there's no kli. If this is his lungs, there's no kli. A canvas isn't a kli. It's you do something to finish it, like a mug that's not finished. A person's making a mug. In Hilchos Tumah V'Tayra, but we said it's not related. But this Gemara is about Bakamet of Samaches. That's everybody learned, right? And over there it talks about with Tumah V'Tayra, you can have a keli that you molded a cup. You made the cup into a pottery or whatever, and it might not yet get a shame of a makeh patish yet. It might not get a Tumah V'Tayra. Because you still plan on making a picture, you still plan on blah, blah, blah. The greatest dogma of das is when a person has a canvas. What's the function, the purpose of the canvas? The function, the purpose is you haven't finished it yet. Right now, you cut out the canvas, you made it nice and usable, and now you're going to go and make a picture on the canvas. That's the next shlav. That's the next shlav. So the Ksaisa Shulchan says, so maybe paper is not a kli. Maybe it's like on derech, it's like on assembly line, Since it's it's oimid to be written on, and that's the product of paper. It's oimid to have a picture. So then maybe she's in the assembly line. That's how he says. That's what he says, and therefore he says it's a muktzah machmas gufa. Therefore, that it doesn't matter, kindalach, if today we're not so careful with paper and whatever. Well, maybe it does. No, it still could matter because if you would use paper to make paper airplanes and this that, so maybe it is a finish. No, because no matter what. Right, no, because you're actually doing something to change the tzura of the paper. You're going to write on the paper, right? So you're going to change the tzura. By a bowl, you're not going to change the tzura of the bowl. You're just going to use the bowl by putting something into it. But that's how he explains it. Right. So now, look, the Graz does say, I guess to explain the Shulchan, he says, "Kevan shemakbid alav." The Graz was talking about paper that you're makbid. If you're not makbid, so then I guess that's the pshat. That'll be pshat in the Ksaisa Shulchan. If you're not makbid on it, that means he's saying, let's say I'll use a piece of paper as a I think it's garifin doily, no, like a doily, yeah, from the Haim. So you'll use a piece of paper to put your coffee on so it doesn't spill. So then what's that? That means the paper a mole is a finished product. Once it's a mole of finished product, it's a finished product, right? So if you have types of paper you're not makbid on. That mamish is like our machat, right? That's like our machet. That's like our needle. Just like the needle, a molded. Do you use the paper sometimes to put your coffee on? Yes. If yes, so then I don't care if all the time you do. I just care that therefore it's Hashem Kli. That's Hashem Kli. As I'm saying it, I'm beginning to believe it a bit more and more. Because now you see, I was going to say it doesn't read into the grass so well, but maybe it does. Kevin shemak b'delav loy l'shtamish ain't a love tires. It bothers me a little bit because it's not. Yeah, okay, maybe. I was thinking a mashu different. I'm not convinced now. The truth is, as I'm saying it, I'm beginning to believe that it might be the emes. But I was just thinking a mashu different, maybe like what Levi was saying, that maybe the pshat is it's not so much different than Blantas anyway. It's not so much different. It could be he just means that even though we saw that the Graz, when it came to category 2, when it came to candles and things like that, the Graz held like the Mishabur. The Graz held that a candle is a Kishma Yasser. He doesn't care if you have anything else you could do. He doesn't care if there's anything else you could do, right? It could be that there's something, this is a tifus svar. If you get it, good. If you don't, it's even better by me. But it's like this. There could be something in between. You ready for this? This is mamish. You can get the Nobel Peace Prize for this. So listen well. There could be something in between a chesrin kiss and a category 2. Because until now we were making something in between kalichum lanchel yeser and chesrin kiss, and that was category 2. Maybe there's something in between a category 2, something that has no usage, and the chesarin kiss, something a makbid gomer not to use, right? And then there's something else that, how would I explain it? In other words, it could be, I'm not makbid necessarily. This is sort of what the question we were always asking on paper. We always asked on paper, like paper is not expensive or whatever. What are they talking about? And Ramosha never said paper is expensive. Ramosha just said like a lashon. He said that paper is something. Who's the crazy person that would just throw away a piece of paper? Like it's something of a nature of. It's a different type of kpeda. It's not a kpeda. I'm not sure if I should go into this. It's not a kpeda of I think it's saying them. What? No, in other words, I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. I'll explain it after. It's a type of. I'm here today, anyways. It's a type of thing that, like, it could be the Graz will agree by something like this, like a recorder, that's category 2, and you just have nothing to do with it. There's nothing else you could do with it, and therefore it's chishmak yeser, and it's mutter. Let's say gufa makayma, or if you can find them a gufa halavai, and if not, you could use it for makayma, right? But by paper, I don't believe it. The K'seis Shulchan is not saying the emes. The K'seis Shulchan is saying the emes. The Ma'aseh, the Mishabura doesn't hold like this. Mishabura does not hold like this. Where do I know the Mishabura doesn't hold like this? First, in 2 places. One place is the Mishabura by us. Mishabura, when it came to paper, what did he say? He said paper's chesron kiss. Paper's chesron kiss. He doesn't say it's gufay. He doesn't say it's gufay, right? Okay. It's not the worst, not the biggest diak, right? It's not the biggest diak. And I have another Mishabura. Mishabura is in Shinyud Beis, in Shartzi Test. Over there is talking about when a person is stuck and he doesn't have toilet paper. He doesn't have toilet paper. So what do you do? So Mishabura says, Hu adin niyar chalak. If you have paper, shemak bidlov, yesh by mishum muksa, so then you could be miyachid on Erev Shabbos. He's talking about what to do. You're supposed to be miyachid the paper Erev Shabbos. Shartzi Test, he writes, De'im stama, if you're not makbid on it, let's say you don't care. It's only if you're makbid. Let's say you don't care. He says, Ein by mishum muksa. Da'ha'oimid lechasa is piyapach. Why? Because it's something that could be. No, it's not muchach. So it's not muchach. The K'seis Shulchan could agree with this because he's saying where he's not makbid, so it could be used for other things. I mean, here's a very big Mishnah Berurah. This Mishnah Berurah is a very important Mishnah Berurah, right? Because this Mishnah Berurah teaches me that when I have paper, it's a very important Mishnah Berurah. Mishnah Berurah is teaching me that when I have paper and I'm not makbid, which is the year 2020, right? Whatever. Right? When we have paper and we're not makbid on the paper, and you would theoretically use it for something else, the Mishnah Berurah is saying befurish, I don't know, it sounds like the Mishnah Berurah that it's a klish machal heter. Ain't by Mishnah Muksa. It sounds like it's mutter gomer. It's just changed a lot, no? Mashma mizedu polygon mach because it's Shabbos. After they're near Gamsarach, yeah, definitely near. Yes, I guess it's not fair, right? Maybe it's like toilet paper that was called toilet paper. So shkoyach, that's a klish machal heter. Right, regular paper is definitely oimid to write on. Right? It's definitely oimid to write on. So there'll at least be a klish machal yes. Okay. Akopanim, that's a very important cloud. That's a very important cloud. Now let's move right along. I forgot to tell you, when I came in, there's a Chassidish Sefer, he's called the Nishma Shabbos. It's of Harpenist. He has over there, I was giving Shir on Chanukah, and he has over there in Shinchav Beis, it's in Simon Shinchav Beis, he goes up to the Simanim. It's in Shin and Aleph, He writes over there that a dreidel, this reminded me now because we spoke about paper, right? He says a dreidel is a klishim lacht al yeser. Ich weiß nicht, was sich etwas in der Chassidische Yeshivas and Sachen. What goes on there? It's all for Geld. That's what goes on there. Right? I mean, he says that it's a klishim lacht. Is that true? No. A dreidel is a klishim lacht al yeser? Huh? No, see, if it's given kids in Chassan Seif is given up some hold, that's given the Tachlis von a dreidel. It's machas beschaffen Geld. Jede Sache ist Geld. Was? Why? I don't know. It's in a dreidel like this nice friendly thing that you play with, and it's a mishpiltzech. You could make money with a dreidel. He's saying it's not just money. You're not allowed on Shabbos to play dreidel to get jelly beans, because that's also, you're not allowed. That's considered like mekach memker. Even for jelly beans, you're not allowed to, right? Huh? No, but he's saying they would play for only, to win and to get geld and to get jelly beans and to get schnapps. What? He's not true? He said not true. And he's Chassidish. He wears a stripe. What? Kvidlach cards. What do you guys call kvidlach? Just like regular cards? Poker. Regular cards. But you have to give it like a Heimish name. I don't know. I mean, are cards also? I was thinking this guy, cards. I guess it depends what deer you're in, It's, I don't know. Am I getting a little bit too personal? I don't know. No, it's like a dreidel. A dreidel is mux, is mardik chiddush. It's mardik chiddush. He's saying the only time you play dreidel, the normal playing of dreidel is to get something. That's the normal playing of a dreidel. Now, let's explain, right? In my house, the normal playing of dreidel is just, it's there, it's a dreidel. I don't think it's, but let's say in a Bachar Dira. Did they even have a dreidel or what? They have a dreidel? Don't do it for money? Well, you do it for like Blad Gemara. He says they do it for Blad Gemara. So in his Dira is no Shaila. But in his Dira, they do it for Blad Gemara. But what else? Let's say you have like a Bachar Dira. It's a little bit more like dreadful Bachar. And they do it for money. Sherry cats, that's the whole book. That's the problem. What? Well, no, but that wouldn't be a cliche lachtel stupid. But that wouldn't be. No, I'm saying it wouldn't be a gambling. They're not gaining something from the dreidel. I don't know how it works. The guy who loses drinks, how does it work? If you get none. Gotcha. Okay. There you go. I don't know, it sounded to me like an amazing chiddush, no? That a dreidel is only to make geld, I guess, or to make business, it's just, I don't know, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing, it's just something I never heard. He's saying you'll be allowed to use it, it's our goof makaimai, right? But you won't be allowed to stand, let's say the looters are coming and they're about to get your dreidel, you won't be able to save your dreidel, that'll be enough community. What? No, the light up dreidels is about that. I thought I said, I also just like stam spin a dreidel, no? On Chanukah, just like stam spin a dreidel, no? It's like stam spin a dreidel. So he's saying that's not what it's ikar oimid for. The major usage of dreidel is not like that. That's what he's saying. I don't know. I also said that to me it sounded like a big chiddush. I don't know. I'm saying in a house like me with kids and Zachen, if there's no shaila, a dreidel is not oimid daf. If that's you to play, they play with the dreidel, right? But what? But their kids are trading. Nah, what do they have, Sachak? Yeah. Okay, I don't know. I at least the color poch is in the Bachar Dira. He's saying the Bachar Dira it's omid for that they should have the drinking stuff. So that's maybe also not a problem. I don't know. I mean, it's a bigger problem, but well, I don't know. That's such a big question. Geld. We spoke about money already. The Mishabura and the Kedama. Once you mentioned dreidel, I mentioned money. Right? Mishabura and the Kedama and the Mishabura over here. In both places, the Mishabura says gelt is an example of gufa. I was trying to uptight. Why is gelt considered it's not a kli? Geld is not a kli. Why is geld? It's very important for us to understand this. Geld is not. It's not a chesaron kiss. Not all geld is chesaron kiss. You're not so careful with geld. You don't, but especially coins and things like that. Right? It's clear in the Mishabura. He calls it a muksa machmas gufay. But what is the gufay of geld? What is geld? Because this is a good understanding of what is a kli in Hilchas Muksa. Geld is not a kli. You don't do something with the money. You the money, you have a benefit that you could trade it and get things. It's a barter system. So it's, I guess if you'd have a good memory, we wouldn't need geld, right? If you think about it very, very deep, right? But, if everybody in the world would have a good memory, you wouldn't need geld, right? Okay, you owe me this now I can come here and get this. Yeah, if you understood what I said, good. If not, it's the first year of college, so it's better you shouldn't understand. But it is different. It was fashioned into a kli. It's argument for something, right? Sorry?
No other usage at all, other than divine.
But why is that not a usage? Why is that not a usage? How do you explain this? Why is geld not a usage? Why is that? Yeah, okay. It's true. It's money stands for something, right? And that which it stands for enables me to get something. Why is that not a kli? What? It's not incomplete. No, in its fashion, in its form, it is complete. Right? I guess money is not a kli. I don't know. It's just you have to appreciate this. I mean, Mishabura in the beginning of Shin Ches, right? Mishabura in the beginning of Shin Ches. I may say it's sometimes you have to be Mishabed Yadas to the Das of Chazal. He says, where's Mishabura? He said in the Gedam, I think, no? He says, Chelik Sheni, Dover She'enai Kli. What's the example? Moyes, geld. No, because there are some farms, they write that geld is chesron kiss. Not chesron kiss. Geld is not chesron kiss. 10 shekel coin on the table is not chesron kiss. You'll use it for everything in the world. Right? It's not totally not. You open up a can with it. Of course it's not chesron kiss. Just a moment. What? Yeah. Okay, but what? No, he's not. I don't think it's not totally in the gedarim of kalim klape ilchas kinyanim and zagan. It's not. He means it's not a kli because it doesn't have a shimush. It doesn't have a shimush. It's a funny thing because I just told you a minute ago. I'll give you an example. I have, because I'm a Rav, so I have all these different coins to figure out sizes of ksamim and things like that and whatever. So those we'll see those are miyuchid, right? Those are miyuchidika coins because they're oimid for to measure sizes and things. I guess until you do that, there's no coin. Let's say you have on your table a 10 shekel coin and pumped, you keep on opening a can with it. It's been there for months or whatever, but it was never miyuchid lekach. You understand? It just happens to be the same coin, which is always there. It's not like the 10 shekel coins I have in order to see the size of a mara. That's miyuchid. I keep it in the bag with the magnifying glasses. It's a whole different thing. It's just a kiddush. I got you use it. Sorry? No. A credit card does a pa'ula. A credit card does a pa'ula, and that's why it's different unless you're chesron kiss or blah, 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 or whatever, right? But it's so interesting to say. Money is not, I think it's like a shkafa that I just have to get myself used to. It could be because I'm from Flatbush. It's hard to get out of my all the evil ways. I don't know. But it's like you have to get used to this. Money is nothing. This nothing. It's not, the Rabbi Schwab Zechron Levracha, he said, so there's certain, like we have words that we don't say. You don't say chazer, you say davracher, right? Because you don't say the word chazer. You don't say what, especially, oink oink, the real word, right? The P, the I, the P. You don't say. So you say davracher. Nobody from you doesn't say the word, right? So he said, what's going to be in the asid lavai, especially because chazer might be kosher. It's a whole machlekes in the zayir or whatever. If he's going to be kosher in the asid lavai, so what's going to be davracher? What's going to be davracher? So he said, geld. Geld. You're not going to want to say the word geld, money. You're going to say the word. So instead, you'll say it's a davracher, Yeah. No, swiping is a pa'ula. With this pa'ula, right, I'm able to do something. It's a pa'ula. It's a machine. A credit card is a machine. It does a pa'ula. Sorry? No, it doesn't do a pa'ula. It's if you do this, it's a barter system. It's not a kli. It's a check. Anyways, a check is more of a chesron kiss because people, when it comes to checks, are careful that it shouldn't get spilled and this and that. They're nervous more.
Like if I do a job for somebody to give me a check,
yeah,
I got paid. I didn't.
It could. Listen, once the check is written already, and now let's say a check that's made to cash. It's open check or whatever. It could be. It could be a check becomes a dollar. It could be. It could be now just stands for. I'm not even sure though. I'm not sure. It could be a check as a document that goes into Shtar Hediyot. It gets complicated. It gets complicated a little bit. I don't know why is a dollar not a Shtar Hediyot. I don't know. It's like, well, interesting shot. I was just thinking this today as I was driving. Like all these things about money and whatever. But it's a meritic hashkafa. No, money isn't anything. It's a meritic hashkafa, but it's nothing. Money is nothing. But mitzad sheni, it's all it is if I give you this, you give me this. That's not a pu'ula. What? Even then, even when it stood for Fort Knox and Daheim and Dust, right? Even then, what? A shtick of gold that is not chiseled or anything is just not oimid for anything. It's just nothing. I don't know. What is a shtick? Let's say you have a shtick of gold, a bar of gold. Yana uncle, Yana dead uncle. He leaves you the bar of gold. He bought it when Nixon tells Gadai, and he bought a bar of gold. So he died. And then, very good. Now you got a bar of gold. What is that bar of gold? Is that your figurine? Is that your Yana submarine? That's jewelry. Maybe some weird Schwarzer wears it with like a necklace or something, but then he stole it and there's a dead body somewhere. What?
Every single thing is only worth something because
No. Here at the end is I suppose, should I say sharf? Is it sharf? I suppose, I don't know if this is right. This should be after this year. This is not first year. This has never happened this year. I'll say one more sentence, we're going weiter, right? But just one more sentence. No, it could be, I was thinking today, different lumdisim as I was driving over. What could be the lumdis? Maybe the lumdis is that anything that, I just wonder if it'll change, but anything that it stands for something, and that could just fall at the wayside, right? In other words, the dollar could get parceled on the spot, right? They could decide that Benjamin, what's his name, Franklin, right? That he was a racist and he was, he didn't like, what are they called, Toyevas and whatever, and this and that, and they're going to take it's for sure going to happen, right? And then they're going to put Obama's picture on the dollar and whatever, right? It's only a matter of time, right? So then that $100 bill is going to become this battle, right? Great. One day you're going to say, wow, he's Mamash and Navi. But so it's just a Navi ain't gone, Rabbi said. But, one day they're for sure going to figure out that the founding fathers were like, a little, they weren't the biggest feminists, Rabbi said. You understand? So they're going to parcel these characters right and left. And then what? And then all the dollars are going to be buttled. It's a lumdis. It's a simon. It's not a sibo. But it's a simon. It just shows you that right now she stands for this. She stands for that you have this item. But it's a kim tatzait when they're going to be mevatel. Now, I don't care if they are mevatel or not. In Eretz Yisrael, everybody understands this, right? Every day they mevatel, the shekel turns into a schnitzel, and the schnitzel turns into a shekel, and then, one day they're going to put hummus on and whatever. You understand? These things changed. It's a siman that she is a nothing. She's not a kli. She's not an anything. It's just that right now, that's things that I just find this to be mechudesh. That's in muksa. Rabbi say, what you're trying to do today and yesterday is to be meshabed your das to Chazal, what they call the kli. We might have said something else. I don't know. I would have said flour. You make a brach on it. So maybe you're telling me it's not totally into Mavatayra. So maybe it's totally if it's edible. So how am I going to find out if something's edible? I would have looked in Hilchas Brachas to see if something's edible. You're seeing I'm wrong. You see, I'm wrong. I don't know. No, it has to be that it's something which is oimid for achila. And then I would have said, like Reb Nissen Krelitz, I would have said toilet paper, if it's kantaka, which you could use, the fact that no one does use, who cares? It's called usual. You see, not like that in the Mishabura. He says, no, it has to be that people actually use it in that stage. And then you're seeing that when it comes to paper and dust, you see things could change because if people start using the paper, so then that's how your kli, right? And then the nail, you're seeing a kli, I'm telling you that's called the kli because it does its job. A button saisnich, a knepel saisnich can kli because it doesn't do its job until she's attached. And now you're going to the last madrega, the Chazal say geld is nishkin kli. Why deal with it? So now you have to deal with it. What? This is not for a cheer, but what? Okay, good boy. Okay, you're a good boy. Now that's what I want to get to now. Okay, good boy. Now you can stay. Okay, say it. So let's start. Now we start. I know what happened. It's never happened. But the router is working. So till least a good day. I was ruined from the router, and so it's okay. It's a good day. All right, sure. The router's working. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's start. What happened? You guys better learn today, okay? You start do Vav, Zayin, Ches, Tes, Yud. You don't have to do it. Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Yud Gimel, and Tes, Vav, and Tezayin. That's all the sugya of Shivrei Kalim. It's like one big sugya. That's what I want to do tomorrow. So start getting to work over here. You guys are doing nothing. You're not getting any younger or better looking. So start moving, yeah? Vav, Zayin, Shivrei Kalim. Tomorrow we have to talk a lot. Nothing happened today. I don't know. So the child's like this. Let's ask a Yitzhak question. Let's get to business. What do we have? We have 5 minutes. That's all I need. Okay. 15. What's the difference between a ner and a bekas? This is the real muksa machmas. This is like the last shlav of muksa machmas gufay. And then we start muksa finally, right? The last shlav of ner, and so the Mishabur of Yerntzit Katan Lamed Mishabur tells us a ner is a kli, which we dealt with already. I'm not talking about category 2 and all that, but a ner is a kli. Deal with it. Zero. In this room, there's a kli. If you have a box of neiris on the candles, you know now what to do. You can move her, the tzarech mekayman. That's it. Now, next, you have a shaila like this. You have a shaila, a bekas is a shtik holz. A bekas is a piece of wood. On Yontif, a shtik holz is argument for usage because you're allowed to heat up a fire and whatever. So therefore, on Yontif, it's not a muksa. Yontif, there might be gzeiras in the Yontif. Yontif is very complicated. There are some gzeiras in Yontif, Atu Shabbos sometimes, but in general, a bekas, coals, right? Coals, well, regular barbecue coals, right? Barbecue coals. It's on Yontif. You can make a barbecue, right? You can make a barbecue. Maybe one day, Erev Yontif, one day I'll teach you how to make a barbecue. Because everybody's always because there's a lot of halachas how to make a barbecue. It's not like the most simple thing in the world. You can't just make a barbecue because we're afraid you're gonna come to do kiboy. You're only allowed to do avar, whatever. Maybe I'll teach you how to make a barbecue on Yontif. We'll do it like hands on, and that way you impress your friends and family. Okay. But anyways, so a bekas, like a shtik kol. So it's on Yontif. She's not muksa. On Shabbos, she's muksa. That's what it says over here in the Mishabur. And Zivkat and Lamed Dalet. Mishabur says, because shtik holds, hainu chaticha says, einoi kli. This is the new einoi kli. Why is she not a kli? Of course she's not a kli. What do you mean? I was miyuchad. I brought it inside. It's not like some piece of wood that was outside. I cut down a tree and I did a ganze meitzah, frag the tree. Ask the tree if I did a ganze meitzah to the tree. I cut down the whole entire tree and now I brought it into planks and pieces of whatever. And now I'm using it as firewood. So why isn't it a kli? It's a kli, right? I was miyachid, I made it, and now I'm going to use it. Okay, on Shabbos I can't use it, but you also can't use a candle on Shabbos. So was it the chilik tzvishin, a candle and a bekas? Good shaila? This is a shaila. So now I saw the Achrayim talk about the shaila. There's lots of mahalchim. I can tell you, I think they're all right. I think they're all right. They all add. Now I don't know which one is going to convey. Watch. I think everything they're saying is right. I don't know if each one of them on their own is right, but they say lots of chilukim to explain what's the chilik tzvishin, a candle, and a guy's going to have tremendous nafkaminas. That's why I'm getting so overly eager about this child. A candle, first of all, what did you say, Rabbi Stender, is fashioned, right? It's fashioned into something, right? A bekas, as much as I told you with the, him knocking it down, the shtikol, but didn't fashion it into a kli and to look a certain way and whatever. Right? He cut it up, It's fashioned. Maybe that's the convey of calling something a kli. I'm not sure if that's enough. We'll have to see. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough. You'll see. This is a very big shayla. Very big shayla. Then another thing, tell me something else. You guys tell me. What else is different about a candle? It's a candle and a piece of wood. Huh? A candle is a holder. A candle holds something. It's like a leichter. What's a candle in essence? A candle is a leichter. Marshall, you all understand when you have those like fancy fat candles, right? I mean, they don't have to be so fancy. It could be for your site also. But you have a candle like that. She holds herself. She mamish holds herself, right? She holds herself. And Mamela, she's something that, holds up the fire. She's a leichter. Who's holding who, right? She's holding the fire. So then it's a kli. It holds something. It's a kli. It holds the fire, right? That's another kli. Does the bekas hold the fire? No, the bekas gets burned to death, right? It doesn't hold anything. No one looks at, when you look at a piece of coal burning in a barbecue, you say it's holding the fire. You don't say that. When you look at a candle, you see that the fire is being held on the candle. It would make sense. It's not a weird sentence. If somebody would say to you that look at that, the barbecue coal is holding the fire. He's a weird person. He's dangerous. He's a little bit interested in fire. You gotta go. But Mashenkin, when you have a person, the candle is holding up the fire. He's a lamb. Okay. Another thing. What else? Tell me anything else about a candle you'd like to tell me? Anything else about a candle? No. Sorry, I was gonna say the exact opposite. The opposite, right? The opposite. A candle doesn't necessarily, right? a candle, we look at a candle as having not just a one-time usage, right? If you have a case of like, those big fat candles and whatever, they don't have a one-time usage, use it again and again and again. Even a candle, by us, just a moment, even by us, most of us that use candles and Shabbos and whatever, the pshat is that we're, we just like to have a full candle, and we throw out candles because we don't have, because we have electricity and Sachen, right? But it would be a very normal thing, especially in the times of Chazal. Now it could be, it'll change because maybe today different. But it's a normal thing to reuse a candle, to put out a candle, reuse a candle. It's normal. The fact that you're not doing it or not doing it is a different schmooze. But it definitely is something which the candle could be omid for. Do you like all of these stars? I like all of these stars. I like all these stars. A bekas is no shaykhis. A bekas is not something you fashion. It's not something you haltzach the fire. It's not something that's not reusable. It's just getting used up. That's the difference. A bekas is something that gets used up. No one looks at a candle that the candle's getting used up. You look at the candle that's doing something right now. You like all my stars or no? You don't like it? You don't like any of them? Right? It's just a normal. Which one? None of them. You don't like any of them? One of them you have to take because Mishnah Berurah says so. I'll throw you out. Oh, wait, okay. So now let's go one by one. So something here is going to have to give. So now let's don every product. We're done. This is it. Now we're all equal until tomorrow because then we're going to start the new segment. But so that is it. This is the moment you've been waiting for. We are all equal in everything in Muktzah now. Now we have to don all the products and try to figure out what's every product. Is she a gilfo? Is she a mlach eliezer? Is she whatever she is? So let's go. A bar of soap. What's a bar of soap? Kafi, what we just heard. You're not allowed to use a bar of soap because I'm reyach and whatever. It's oimid for isser. I would have said, let's say they fashioned the bar of soap, They fashioned it. What's the difference? It's contoured because otherwise, it's gonna, slip all the way down and whatever. What is that? Is that a kli? I was once reading the box of a bar of soap. You ever read it? You ever read the box of the bar of soap? You guys are missing out on life. You never read it? What are you talking about? I went to the back. It was the backs of an ivory bar of soap. Right? And no, it was explaining. Didn't I close the Kallus? What are you guys doing here? Nobody could find the Kallus, Nobody would take you guys. It was explaining why. The ivory was the first one. They were the innovators of that whole contoured or whatever. And all the other, fake bars, right? They all snuck in. It has a whole lumdus there of why it's contoured in that way. And it goes like that, And it tells you because when you're going to put your hand on and it's going to come right off, oh, shtusim and lakshim, but that's a state right? It was because you go like this, your hand goes like that. No, everyone knows what I'm talking about. You guys don't use soap. Right? It goes like this. Your hand goes like this. It comes off with smooth, guys. Smooth. It sounds like there's a lumdus there or whatever. I don't know. You buy it. I think a bar of soap is they just take like all types. 99% pure. It's made of more. Pure. People think it's like, there's a whole shaila about using kosher soap. There's a whole shaila. Today, with Maisa, we're not machmir so much because since it's all pogim anyways, so then the whole idea of using kosher soap was when they had schmaltz and makentas essen, it tasted good, you put it with the, that's what psha is made of, but today it's not like that. You eat the soap, there's bigger problems, right? So the soap is 99% pure, 99.9. Ivory says, sure, it's made of dog and it's made of whatever else the vaccine is made of, whatever they're complaining about, right? It's made of all that stuff, all that same stuff, right? It's made of all that same stuff, right? All fetus loch and everything, all this elbezachen. They don't, it's all pure, it's all totally pure. It's not made, they mean it's not made of chemicals. That's all they mean. So what's an afkamina? Afkamina is, I don't think that is like a ner. I don't think that's like a ner. A ner is holding the fire. Now, if the svara is, let's go one by one. If the svara is holding the fire, it's not holding something. You can say it's holding the outside layer. It's holding the outside layer. The layer that comes off, this is lakshan, but it's getting used up. Is it a one-time use? No, it's taken out, but it's just getting used up. When you look at a bar of soap, it's like, it's just she's getting, no, a ner, because she's doing something now, because she's holding something now, you don't look at it as just getting used up. What? Sorry?
If you want to wash your hands, you're going to have to take off a little layer.
Right, that's correct. I see you not use soap.
As the cake aged in and it keeps it holds it together, unlike liquid soap. made them all together.
What's the nafka mina? Right. It's meant to hold together. It's true.
Otherwise, you would pull liquid.
Right.
So there is something in there that's made them hold together.
That's
Now,
correct.
It's not the end. You don't see it.
Okay, so let's go one by one. Is it holding something? It's holding the outside layer. People look at it like that. No, I'm saying Ivory says that, but I don't know. I don't buy it. What? Sorry.
I guess this phone, you don't use it anymore. You just let it go because you can't hold it.
You just got personal. Okay. I'll let it slide if you let it slide. No. Soap is just a blob of 99.9% together. And again, it's definitely not as good as a nair. That we'll all agree to, right? Just give me one moment. I want to finish. I stick around today. I'm going to come upstairs in Mitzvah Shem. I'll talk to the others in learning.
What about the soap?
Just 1 second. In Mitzvah Shem, I stick around today. I'll answer the shadow there, right? But so, for example, like there's no question that if you learn this, if you want my personal opinion is that the Iker Svar of Ner is that it's holding the fire. By me, I would have thought there's the Iker Svar, and clearly by a bar of soap is nishtazeh. I think it's also more than that. I think it's something that we look at it that it's not that it just gets used up. That's not how we look at it. I think it's related to the first Svar, and therefore a bar of soap is just like it's just getting used. It's getting used. It's getting used. Okay. So, but the place can all take on a bar of soap is a muktzah machmas gufa, and this is the lumdus why, right? Cosmetics, we spoke already about, right? Nail polish, the liquidy kind for sure, right? We spoke once that maybe, see, it's very interesting. Very interesting. You want to be a real lamdan, think about why ink is a classic example of what we said. That's ink, real, like a jar of ink is a classic example of a muktzah machmas gufa. Because something that is not contoured, it's not fashioned into a kli, and it's not whatever, and therefore ink is considered to be a muktzah machmas gufa. It's about it not shaped, it's about it not holding something, it's none of the above. And therefore, that's a good example of a real emes of muktzah machmas gufa. It's just, if you think about it, what's a pen? What's a pen, Bemis, right? A pen is a bottle of ink inside this tube, right? So, but if we know a pen is a kli shmakli, I guess, right? If you look at it, that we don't look, it's interesting, right? You don't look at that the pen without its ink is totally worthless, right? And that's what, the whole lave of it is until, Kol Zman it has ink, it's worth something. After it doesn't have ink anymore, it's not worth something. So what's the lumdus? I guess the lumdus is that like a nair, you took the kli of ink and you fashioned it into a pen and you made it, you have a usable oifen and we don't just look at it as a one-time use. Nobody sees the pen like that. Nobody sees the pen as just using the ink up. It doesn't, that's not how we look at it. Okay, let's say, for example, like this. This is something that was, that needs a little bit of a thought. Okay, nail polish we spoke about already. Also, it's like a shampoo, a thick shampoo. I don't want to get involved in the liquidy one, which you could use on Shabbos, but a thick shampoo. A thick shampoo is just a glob of something that you can't use on Shabbos. It gets used up, and therefore it's not a kli, and therefore she's a muktzah machmas gufay that you can't move. Now it's a gufay. Toothpaste is like this. All these achen, right? But wait, what do I want to talk about? There's one case I wanted to talk about. That's what I talk about. Okay. So we'll end with this. Matches. We'll end with this. We have a minute. Matches. Matches is a very complicated case. What's a match? Based on what we said today, I think most things are clear. Soap the Paiskim will take on is gufa and they talk about bleach. They talk about like floor bleach. So that they say is muktzah machmas gufa also. It's got in the ladies' mikvahs. A lot of times they have bleach there because sometimes you can have stains and things. That's allowed. It's oimid for usage, and you're allowed to take off the stains on Shabbos. So that's okay. But in a normal matziv, these things are all muktzah machmas. You have to know. Sometimes you have in the closet, you have drinks, and in front of the drinks, you can have all types of. It's like a floor clean. You can have detergent. Detergent is not a kli. It's something that you can't. We spoke about this. What about a match? What? It's worse than a candle. What we spoke about today, she's worse than a candle. Okay. Is it a bekas? So let's see. It has some of the svaras and it doesn't have all the svaras, right? Now, derech agav, if a match we can get it through, we'll be able to use it to scratch the ears. It won't even be category 2. I'm saying, it'll be a real. We anyways would believe it's a klish machli, but it's either going to be a klish machli or it's going to be muktzah machmas gufay. Let's see. It has been fashioned. It has been fashioned into a kli that works and does a function. What's the function? It's a function that it makes a fire, right? It does something. Just as a moment. It's a function that they made a way that with this you keep a fire. It's an easy way to make a fire, right? Mitzad sheni, it's really be'emes, just a one-time use that's just getting used up. Just use up. So does anybody know the answer to this? This is mamish where you have to know the answer of which star is right. What? Sorry? It's better than a bar of soap. A bar of soap just gets used up. This doesn't get used up. This is something that it's true. It's a one-time use, but it was a kli that was made to make a fire. What chad pan means? What are you saying, son? Plates? What are you from plates? What are we talking? Who talked about plates? What? Who called anybody a plate? What's the plate? What do you do? We didn't get the plates yet. That's tomorrow. What do you do? Fine, but right now it's a kli. They fashioned this item into. I would have thought she's a kli. I thought she's a kli. They fashioned it into something that this thing makes fire. I thought that's a kli. If you would believe that the svara of ner is that it has to be holding something, it has to be doing something, and sorry. If you go with that mahalach of fashioned and doing, then this would also be a kli. If you go with the mahalach that it's reusable, like candles reusable, it's b'derek klal is reusable. You might not reuse it, but it's b'derek klal. You could use it once, you could use it twice, right? We see this constant being. So then a match is not reusable. So this I found a world war. You see, you learned the sugya right when you have these mahalachim, right? But now you see you have to pass in this mahalach. It's a world war. The Shmir Shabbos brings Rabbeinu Agadol of Shlomo Zalman. He says it's a malachta li'eser. He says a klish malachta li'eser. He believes kanira that the ikr svar of ner, of candle, is did you fashion it into a kli that does something, so it holds the fire or whatever. So therefore, you fashion this into a kli that has the ability to make fire. This thing makes fire. Okay, Ramosha in the Rabbi Badner's book. It's interesting. I couldn't really find this one in the Igros Moshe. It could be it's in there. I couldn't find it though. Over there in the 18th, what did I write here? Maybe the 18th parak in the Ois Dalet over there. He asked this question to Moshe Feinstein. He says that Moshe told him it's not a kli. It's a muksa machmas gufa. It's an unbelievable machlokes. It's the matchbox. She's on the table. Friday night. It doesn't look so good to have the matchbox on the table. It's pasnished, right? It's the first week. The son-in-law is coming. There's a matchbox there, and whatever. It doesn't look good. So now it's a klish machli. It's according to Shlomo Zalman. Tzarich mekayimai. So you'll need the machli. According to Moshe, World War. No, but you see how Moshe Kanira took on. If he said it, we'll never know 100%. But if he said it, then I would have thought like Rosh Hashanah. Then Moshe Kanira holds what's the lumdus of a candle. The lumdus of a candle is that it's something that can be used over and over again. It's used over, and this can't be used over and over again. I think it's a big chiddush. I tell you why I think it's even a bigger chiddush. Because at the end of the day, a match is something that, because they made these small little wooden chiplach, you could really use it for other things too. But maybe that's not being fair. I don't know. You could really use it for other things too. It's like it was so contoured that. What? The box itself, I guess, because she's a busses to the matches, which is the ikr. He's asking, let the box be a kli, because the box does something, But that's a big chiddush, that's not.
People reuse matches.
A big chiddush.
People reuse matches.
What?
People reuse matches.
Well, this is a big one. What? People reuse matches? How do you even do it? You don't mean like, okay, but then you can also, right before I throw the recorder into the garbage, I also, the kids play with it and take it apart. What do you mean it's normal? He's saying that they don't put it away for that. No, you put it away.
Then it becomes wood.
It's not joke. What? It was wood that was chipped. Okay, tomorrow we're going weiter. No games. Rabbi said, whoever's new, just come to me for a minute. I want to explain to you with the Maimon Koyim. Whoever's new, I mean new from the beginning of the Zman. Okay, whoever's new, right, come. Wait, and we had no issues now, right? You guys, the guys watching on TV, it was really good today, right? And the share you liked also, or is just the reception was good? You liked the share too? Danny likes to share too. Okay. Let me just close these guys.